So, yeah, it's Wednesday. Hopefully, I'll remember the next 2 days of the week. I've got the first two. Hopefully, it'll be a split flip of last week, but who knows? I'm sorry about that. Yeah, Matthew 10. Yeah. Week's been good though. Kind of. It's been a busy week. Some small group was good. And we're going to get on with this. The 12 apostles. And he called to him his 12 disciples, and gave them authority over the unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every disease and every affliction. The names of the 12 apostles are these. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, who is brother, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas the Iscariot, who betrayed him. Jesus sends out the 12 apostles. These 12 Jesus sent out and instructed them, Go nowhere among the Gentiles, and enter no town of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and proclaim as you go, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick and raise the dead, cleanse the lepers and cast out demons. You have received without paying, give without pay. Acquire no gold or silver for your belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or staff, for the laborer deserves his food. And whatever town you enter, find out who is worthy in it, and stay there until you depart. And when you enter a house, greet it, and if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not receive you or listen to your words, shake off the dust of your feet. And when you leave that house or town, truly I say to you, it will be more bearable on the day of judgment for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah than that of that town. Prosecution will come. Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves, so be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Beware for they will deliver you over to the courts and flog you in the synagogues, and you will be dragged before governors and kings for my sake, to bear witness before them and the Gentiles. When they deliver you over, do not be anxious how you are to speak, or what you are to say, for what you will say will be given to you in that hour. For it is not you who speak, but is the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will deliver brother over to death, and father his child, and children will rise up against their parents and have them put to death. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. When they prosecute you in one town, flee to the next. For truly I say to you, you will not have gone through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. My disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for a disciple to be like his teacher, and the servant to be like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more will they malign those of his household? Have no fear. Have no fear then for them. For nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the dark, say in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim on housetops. Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both body and soul in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? Even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you have more value than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before man, I will also acknowledge before my Father, who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before man, I will also deny before my Father, who is in heaven. Not peace, but a sword. Do not think I have come to bring peace on earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set man against his father, and daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. and a person's enemies will be those of his own household. Whoever loves mother or father more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Rewards: whoever receives me, and whoever receives whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives him who sent me. And the one who receives a prophet because he was a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And the ones who receive a righteous person because he is a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones even a cup of cold water because he is a disciple, truly I say to you, he will by no means lose his reward. Anyway, that was a long one. Very heavy one. Persecution isn't something we deal with in the Western world nowadays. It is still something that some Christians experience around the world, and it's definitely something that people experienced back then. Like, these are things that would have happened to the early Christians. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know if I could do that. Part of me hopes I could, but I don't know. I've never been put in that position. I don't know if I ever will be put in that position. Like, I don't know if I could. Like, I was only bullied in high school for being a Christian. And that wasn't even necessarily for being a Christian. It was more because they assumed I stood against gay marriage, and they kind of bullied me for that. And even then, I crumpled in my faith. Like, in some ways, I held strong. In other ways, I didn't. I wasn't good, to be fair. Other than, on the other hand, one could say I didn't have good faith back then. Like, I wasn't very good at sharing my Christianity. Like, everyone knew I was Christian, but I wasn't good at communicating it with other people. Like, it being known was as far as it went. I didn't talk about it with other people. I barely even talked about it with my friends. My friends were the ones that asked me questions about it more. Even then, I didn't always answer the best. I don't know what would happen. But the other thing I also know is that in places where prosecution is high, the gospel is sometimes strengthened. The people who speak these words in face of prosecution are some of the most devout believers you ever find. And I don't know whether some people say it's because of the prosecution. I think it's because they're able to speak devoutly whereas I think what really happens is the prosecution instantly weeds out anyone who isn't really devout, meaning it's easier for people who are actually devout to build each other up. And that's something a lot harder to do and to find nowadays. But I found a church that I think does, that actually builds people up and builds people up in faith. Like, it doesn't just welcome people into faith. Like, they had a sermon the other day on Sunday about predetermination. I think is the word. Predestination. Predestination is the word. The pastor briefly went over that whole mess and what predestination is, and whether it's real, whether it's not. And it's a heavy topic. It's something that normally Christians talk about. But it's also, like, in a church like ours where they're welcoming people off the street every week, you wouldn't normally hear that kind of thing. That's something that's not even in churches that are very insular and closed, you probably wouldn't hear a sermon like that. Like, that's for people discussing else places, like other places. I don't know where they discuss it, but I know it gets discussed. Does that make sense? Like, it's good. They talk about those things. It's important to talk about those things. And while you don't normally talk about those things with people just coming to the faith, like, it's actually interesting if you came to that, like, because if you came to the faith if you came to church for the first time and that was what they're talking about, on whether or not people have free will, that's a heavy topic that they don't normally talk about. Like, even, like, a lot of this, it's like, this is, like, heavy stuff of, like, oh, prosecution will come. Like, it's not actually something you have to worry about in today's world, but, like, if you're living in today's Western world, like, in the Western world, you probably won't have to worry about this. But also, at the same time, it's like, but there's also something we shouldn't, but, like, sometimes I do think that people, like, oh, when they talk about stuff like this, some people are like, oh, they shouldn't discuss that because the church doesn't get prosecuted. I was like, well, yeah, it's accurate. In the Western world, the church doesn't get prosecuted, but the rest of the world, the church, there are countries in the world where the church is prosecuted, and even then, we still need to talk about what was said here because the church was prosecuted. And then some people get mad for being prosecuted now because they stand for beliefs that aren't even Christian, but they call them Christian. And I actually saw a sign that was like acceptance or whatever, and it basically had all these things, and even had the cross for Christianity or whatever. It was like, whatever, and then someone posted a note saying, I do not approve of Christianity being a part of this because we do not support these appeals. And I was like, it's not actually accurate. Like, on one hand, like, yes, as a Christian, you cannot follow any of the others, but honestly, that's the same with all religions. Like, seriously, like, no religions, except if you're a close-off Christian, no, you can't follow anything else, but it doesn't mean we don't. Tolerance was, I think, the word of it, key word of that. It's like, sure, I am going to try and convert most people I come across. I'm not going to try and do it overtly, but I do want all people around me at all times to come to faith. Because I'm a nice person, and because I believe I found the one truth of life, and if you found the one truth of life and didn't want to share it with people, you're not a nice person. Like, there's no other way of saying it. But I'm also, that doesn't mean I'm going to hate someone for not finding truth. And some people these days also leave that to believe, like, oh, everyone has their personal truth. And it's like, I disagree with that. Like, I found my truth, and if nothing else, I'm like, well, maybe when I first pledged my faith, I might have thought that. Because, like, I don't know if I even fully believed in God when I first pledged my faith and prayed to God. When I first, like, actually, okay, the first time I prayed to God was when I was, like, 5, and I definitely believed in God then, but, like, the first time I, like, actually decided, the first time I praying, like, full understanding of knowing what I was doing, and, like, I didn't fully believe that God was real. I was just like, hey, I don't know if I like the other religions, and if I do, well, I can't be bothered investigating enough, and it would be hard enough to follow them. I'm going to follow you because the truth is, I think you're the one religion that wouldn't be mad at me. You're the one religion I can find that wouldn't be mad at me following another religion, if that makes sense. And I know that sounds weird, like, well, then why don't you do that and then hope Christianity still finds you? Because then you're being bullshit, and then I don't think anything. But, like, if you're actually searching for the truth, my first prayer was like, I want you to be the truth. And since then, I found evidence that backs up this being the truth. And in a way, maybe I was, while some would say that's a confirmation bias, it doesn't take away the fact that out of all the religions, I want this one to be true. And it's definitely true to me and my experiences. And I want other people to feel those experiences, to feel that unconditional, utterly perfect love. So yeah, that's a bit. That went in a special I was expecting. Yeah, I definitely didn't really discuss Matthew 12, Matthew 10, but yeah, if you're willing, please do so in the comments. Like, yeah, if there are any comments on it. Bye!